This week, I'm stuck in a tower blind with a buck bedded 50 yards away. I found out in the past that sometimes this doesn't work out the way you'd expect. We're going to take a look back at some of those hunts while I wait for this buck to present a good shot.
What's up? This is Marty from Total Outdoor Pursuit. It's opening morning of firearm season in Indiana. It's been a really warm year. It was only 75 degrees just a week ago. It's really held the deer movement down. Now today's a really cold, calm morning. It's dropped off. There's frost on the ground and the wind's broke. I'm sitting over a big meadow area that the deer really like to bed in. Out here in northern Indiana, there's not a lot of big chunks of woods. It's mostly just little woodlots. So a bedding area like this is really a good spot. First sit of the year is always kind of tough. I'm fidgety, but I think I'm settled in now. I have way too much light coming in this back window. The sun's coming up, beaming right through here. Kind of felt a little bit silhouetted, like I couldn't even move. So I started brainstorming the only thing I could come up with to keep that sunlight from beaming through and silhouetting me. Put my shirt in front of the window. So I'm all set. I think we're good now.
So I'd been sitting there all morning and nothing happened. Really slow morning, birds, squirrels, that was about it. It had kind of reached that point where I thought, yeah, probably nothing's going to happen. I may have to sit here until evening before I see some deer action. I start to lean forward in the corner of the blind where you can't see because of the windows. A buck had been coming towards me and I hadn't even noticed it. The thing was 50 yards away. By the time I saw it and got the cameras up, pointed at it, it made it 5 more steps and bedded down. Once that buck bedded down, I thought, man, I am sitting in a good spot here. The buck's 50 yards away from me, has no clue I'm here. I've got everything ready. All I have to do is just wait for him to stand up and make a good shot. You know, I've actually had this situation happen several times before, and usually it's worked out pretty good. Last year, for example, I had this buck come in. I was chasing a doe. When I first saw them, they're probably about 300 yards out, so they're outside of my range. That buck kept that doe out in the field. He didn't want her to get back in the woods, because if she got back in the woods, he was going to have a harder time keeping her pinned down. She kept trying to get in the woods, and he would run back and forth just inside too much thick stuff to be able to get a shot. So that doe kept working her way closer to me. 200 yards, 150 yards. Just when they were about to get into range, she made it inside the woods, but she ended up bedding down, and he bedded down right there next to her. So we ended up sitting there for about an hour and a half. The doe was bedded down too the whole time. Just sitting there waiting. Actually had a little bit of a snowstorm. It's kind of cool getting to watch him in the snow. The doe finally stands up, takes off back to the field again. He starts chasing, and they're starting to work their way away from me again. Finally, he stepped out into the clearing, and I was able to make a good shot and harvest him. We ended up finding this buck about 75 yards away from where I shot. Check out Total Outdoor Programming on YouTube for more great tips and tactics on hunting, fishing, camping, grilling, trophy field care, taxidermy tips, and even more. Plus, you can watch full episodes of Total Outdoor Pursuit and even extras, outtakes, and bloopers off the cutting room floor.
Come on, Rock! You're a bum! You're a bum, Rock!
Here they come! Here they come!
Are they?
Be sure to subscribe and join in on the conversations. Check it out at youtube.com/totaloutdoor.
You can get a hold of the Total Outdoor Pursuit and Total Outdoor Programming team through social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest updates on where we're at and what we're chasing. We love hitting the road and trying new things. If you excel at any type of hunting or fishing, whether you're a professional guide or just average Joes like us, and you would like to be part of an episode teaching us what you know, send us an email at totaloutdoorpursuit@gmail.com and maybe you'll be in a future episode.
If you want to put more furs on the stretcher, be sure to check out A New Approach to Coyote Trapping and A New Approach to Coon Trapping by Jason Hauser. Jason has filled these books with his decades of experience trapping for a living. As an outdoor writer for numerous major hunting and trapping magazines, the information is clear, concise, and packed full of great tips and lessons learned. For a new perspective on trapping techniques, check out A New Approach to Coyote Trapping and A New Approach to Coon Trapping by Jason Hauser. I could barely make him out. Like, every time he would move, I could see the tines, and that was about it. He'd stand up about once an hour. Usually when he would stand up, he was turned away from me. I thought maybe I can try and figure out a way to slip in a quartering away shot, but it was just too steep of an angle. And then on top of that, there was just too much brush. I mean, there were saplings and branches blocking. You know, even 50 yards, I didn't want to risk something happening.
Marty has been pretty confident in these situations before, I'll give him that. But what he's not talking about is this situation where he had a buck bed down pretty close to him and it didn't work out so well.
I'd watched him all through the summer, knew he was a really nice buck, got a lot of pictures on trail cam, even a few trail cam videos, and he just kept using that same area, so I felt really confident that we were going to get a good chance to harvest this buck here. So finally bow season kicks in, and it was actually only my second day of hunting, and I was out there pretty early in the afternoon really. It was probably about 4 o'clock when I first noticed him. I thought, here we go, he's coming my way, just waiting for the right opportunity, the right shot. Well, it was so thick in there that I never got that shot. He actually came in and bedded down directly below my tree stand. So I waited, trying to wait for him to get back up, and gets closer to dark. Finally he steps up and works right back through that thick stuff, never gave me a shot. Crossed the ditch and popped out on the side of the bean field and started working his way down towards my shooting lane. I said, all right, this is it. He hit that opening. Not only did he hit my shooting lane, but he stopped in it and started to put his head down behind the weeds. So I was able to get to full draw, took my time. I actually counted to 4 while I was aiming, just let that arrow slide. It was about a 25-yard shot. I knew I had him dead to rights. And in horror, got to watch the arrow go directly underneath him. I somehow shanked my shot and put it underneath him. Buck fever, I don't know what you want to call it, but for whatever reason I missed that buck clean. He turned and took off, and man, I'll tell you what, if you're ever going to get a good look at the size of a buck, it's right after you miss one. When they take off, you can tell just how big he is. They grow 10 inches, I swear. I was actually waiting to see some sign of blood coming down, some sign that I'd hit him. He stopped, and I got the camera zoomed in on him, and completely clean, missed him. Man, watching him run away was a hard thing because he just kept growing inches every step he took. Actually ended up hitting that stand 2 nights later, and he came through probably about 60 yards away from me, across the fence in the neighbor's property. He was perfectly fine, nothing had happened to him, he was walking fine. Actually saw him 2 more times throughout that season. Never once again did he ever come close to my little patch of woods there. I'd had the opportunity, he gave it to me, and I completely blew it. That was the last time I saw him, and kind of a hard one to recount, but hey, that's the way hunting goes sometimes. Sometimes you're on, sometimes you're not. So, my fault, I should have made that 25-yard shot. Yeah, I guess it didn't go so well that time. Stony Creek Wildlife Studio is a full-service taxidermy studio specializing in game heads, life-size mammals, fish, and birds. Our goal is to recreate your trophy in a way that not only makes you proud to display it, but also pays tribute to the awesome animals that we respect so much as outdoorsmen. Attention to detail, experience, and creativity go into every mount we work on. For more information, check us out at stonycreektaxidermy.com.
You can get a hold of the Total Outdoor Pursuit and Total Outdoor Programming team through social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest updates on where we're at and what we're chasing. We love hitting the road and trying new things. If you excel at any type of hunting or fishing, whether you're a professional guide or just average Joes like us, and you would like to be part of an episode teaching us what you know, send us an email at totaloutdoorpursuit@gmail.com and maybe you'll be in a future episode.
Check out Total Outdoor Programming on YouTube for more great tips and tactics on hunting, fishing, camping, grilling, trophy field care, taxidermy tips, and even more. Plus, you can watch full episodes of Total Outdoor Pursuit and even extras, outtakes, and bloopers off the cutting room floor.
Come on, Rock. You're bum. You're bum, Rock.
Here they come. Here they come.
Are they?
Be sure to subscribe and join in on the conversations. Check it out at youtube.com/Total Outdoor. Well, so he stood up again, sat there for probably 10-15 seconds, looked like maybe he was going to turn a little bit, bedded right back down.
Or this situation where he had a big buck come in, bed down right near his stand, get up, chase all the other bucks away, and it came back. Marty got a shot, put the buck down, only to realize it's the wrong buck and had to watch the big buck come back in and rough his kill up with his antlers. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, I was running a little bit late, made it to the stand about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. By the time I made it to the base of the stand, I looked over and saw this buck pop up, walk about 10 yards, and bed down on the edge of this creek. I managed to make it up into the stand. A smaller buck came in and he would stand up and run that thing off and turn around and head right back to the same area, mess around for a little bit, and bed back down. Finally, the does start making their way out into the field. I see the little buck come out. He's going to go out and check out those does, and I think, man, that's just what I need to get that big buck to pop out. Going to be an 80-yard shot on one of the biggest bucks in my life at that point. Everything's looking perfect. Here comes the big buck, or so I think. I'm looking at him from the side. He looks pretty big compared to the other one. And I had in my mind the whole time 2 bucks. I wait for him to separate. Great shot. Buck runs in a circle, falls down. I start celebrating. In my mind, I had just shot the biggest buck of my life at that point. Only to watch the big buck come up over the hill and proceed to toss my buck around. Well, it was pretty cool getting it on film, though, at least. I think it would have been cooler if it was a smaller buck flipping my dead buck around, but hey, that just means he's still out there and he's bigger. That buck ended up standing up about 4 or 5 times throughout the day, usually about an hour apart. Sitting there for that long, not being able to drink the coffee that's right next to me, not being able to eat the snacks that I've got there, not even being able to stand up and stretch my legs for 5 hours, it was starting to wear on me, and my eyes were starting to go a little bit buggy trying to make sure that he was still down there in all those sticks. So finally he stands up. I think, okay, this could be the moment again. He turns, and just like that, he's already taken 3 steps through my shooting window. I mean, I have a 5-step shooting window because of how thick it is. I mean, 2 more steps, and he was going to be into the thick stuff, and I wouldn't have been able to get a shot.
Just shot. Looked like I dropped him in the tracks, but I've got another shell loaded in, just in case. That happened really quick. I saw that deer come straight into me at 10:30 in the morning. 3:07. He stood up 4 or 5 times. Sat right back down in his bed. That deer never moved 10 steps from the place where I first saw him. And it took me almost 5 hours to finally get a shot on him. I haven't seen him move, so hopefully he's down. He looks like a nice deer. Big body deer. I need to stand up and pee. Really bad.
It was pretty cool sitting there experiencing buck fever again. You know, it's been doing this since I was 13 years old, and I still get that every single time. I think if I ever lose that, then I'll probably stop deer hunting and just focus on taking other people out. I ended up dropping him right in his tracks. I actually hit him a little bit higher than I'd planned on. Everything happened so quick I didn't get the shot that I was hoping for, but after reviewing the video I could tell that he had dropped right there.
We give Marty a pretty hard time about these situations, but this time his confidence was well warranted and he calmed down, waited for the right moment, got the shot, and got to go home with a pretty good sized buck.
You know, that's one of the cool things about hunting. You just never know what's going to happen. I mean, every day it's something different. Sometimes it works out in your favor, sometimes it doesn't. But the cool thing is getting out there in the field, trying new things, and just seeing what works. Nice Indiana buck. Glad to get him, big-bodied deer. A little broken up, but hey, it's pretty cool and it was a cool hunt. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Had a great time getting this buck, 2015 Indiana buck. And we'll see you next week on Total Outdoor Pursuit. Total Outdoor Pursuit is also brought to you by these great sponsors. Well, thanks for watching Total Outdoor Pursuit, and thanks for watching Total Outdoor. I feel like I'm rambling. Next week, we're going to be heading up to Michigan. We're going steelhead fishing on the St. Joseph River with Captain Todd Brill from Gold Coast Fishing Company. Captain Todd's going to be taking us out fishing for steelhead in the middle of the winter. It's a great thing to do when all the hunting seasons are coming to an end.